Yeah, I think that it was when Tyler Huntley went out in the third quarter. That was a big turning point in the game. I mean, they were a little bit different on offense. It was Shelly's first game coming in to spell him, and the next couple of weeks when he was in there, they got on a roll again. So it's hard for, like I said, just like the Cal game, it's hard for a backup quarterback to come in there and run the game plan that the starter's been running all day. I mean, there's certain things that are tailored for him that the backup might not be as good at. So they struggled a little bit, and then we pressured them a little bit, and then our offense did a really good job, was able to run the ball, and we got a couple scores ahead and were able to hang on to the lead. But I thought it was a pretty drastic change when Tyler went out, and now he's put on 25 pounds since last year, and if you watch his tape, I mean, he looks really good. I mean, they're just like they were last year when we played them. They're on a roll again. I mean, after they lost to SC, their last two games, they've had over 500 yards offense. They're averaging 35 points on the season a game. They're balanced. They're throwing it for 230 a game. They're rushing it for 240, or vice versa. They're throwing it for 240, rushing for 230. So, I mean, they hit you with everything. And then their offensive coordinator, Andy Ludwig, we were together at San Diego State, and he does a great job with all the movement and different things that they do to try and confuse your guys. What we talk about all the time, dirty eyes around here. They try and get you in positions where you lose somebody, and then if they really get you spread out, then the quarterback's going to kill you up the middle, and he's running like a man possessed this year. So it's a big challenge.
How much different are they offensively with Ludwig and the fact that you guys know each other so well? What's that do?
Well, I mean, he'll know. I mean, he was with us for 2 years at San Diego State before he moved on to Wisconsin. His personality is to be really physical downhill, run the ball, try and establish that, and then beat you with the play action and all the motion and movement stuff. He'll have a decent feel. I mean, they're different last year. Last year they were majoring a lot more in all those nasty splits. They'll do a little bit of that this year, but that's not their mantra like they were. I mean, Coach Taylor at Sacramento State did some of that against us this year. That they haven't done a ton of that, but they've got it in their arsenal and they can go to it if they find something that hits you. But I mean, we're going to see a very physical football team come and establish who they are and let us know who's coming to town. So it should be a hell of a fist fight. I'm excited about it.
Them being physical, does that maybe do disservice to them also being creative, which probably takes it back a step to being physical?
No, because I think their O-line is they play like you want them to. I mean, they finish through the whistle. They play football like it's meant to be played, mean and nasty. If you watch their tape, they try and finish their blocks. I mean, we talk about our guys wanting to run and jump on the pile and being a part of the play until the guy's not moving and wiggling. They're the same way, and so they establish their physicalness up front. I mean, a long time ago, somebody said all that fly motion and stuff is that of a finesse offense. I don't agree. If you do the running game stuff, I mean, and when you use the quarterback as the main ball carrier, you get an extra blocker, whether it's the running back or if it's the running back pulling somebody out of the play because you give them the zone read fake. So now you got to honor that, because if they hand it off and you don't, it's going to be gone. So you can't designate somebody, so they get an extra extra blocker for the ball carrier, and he's not one to slide. He's going to try and run you over, and then they've got a couple different running backs that they use. One that is more perimeter based, and the other two that they hit it up vertical and try and go downhill on you. They do a great job with their gap scheme where they pull, they block back. I mean, like I said, they try and mess with your eyes, especially at the second level, and cause you problems. So you have to play fast. You have to match their physicalness and come downhill. I mean, it's a dream for. I love this kind of stuff. I mean, this is the way football is meant to be played, the way football should be played. So it'll be a fun contest on Saturday.
Talking about that, though, I mean, in practice, obviously, the balance between keeping your players fresh and getting ready for the physicality of the game, like you saw last year. I mean, how tough is that balance getting ready for a game?
Well, this time of year, we start to shorten practice a little bit to get those guys healed up. Tomorrow we'll be in helmets only. So as a young team, the better that they learn how to practice full speed without contact like that, you can get a lot better, because if you just go through the motions of a walkthrough in those, when you have your helmets on, the fits aren't the same. So when you're running up there and a guard's supposed to step down and block you, well, if you're walking through and the guard steps by you and you think you're free, you're not. And so we have to practice the correct way, and that's the hard thing for young guys, is when you take the helmets off, when you put the helmets on only, you take off all the pads sometimes, their mind goes into relax mode. And we've been better the last couple weeks on Thursday, and that's how you get them really freshened up. Later in the season, you ideally would like to go Wednesday, Thursday with no pads on, so that you can really have them fresh and ready to go on Saturday. We're not at that point in our program yet. We tried it last year, and it didn't work. And so until they learn how to do that and go full speed for long periods of time, it makes it really hard to do. We do some things in spring ball around here to try and teach them that, and now that we're getting older, more snaps under our belt, maybe we'll handle some of that stuff. Yesterday's practice was really physical, but I think to prepare to play that way on Saturday, you have to show them the blocking schemes, and we've done more around here, good on good. We're running the scout team for our first offense, and they're running the scout team for our first defense, our good guys versus their good guys, so that we get a more full speed look. It cuts down on the amount of reps, but they're quality reps. And like I said, yesterday was really physical for both sides of the ball. And so now we did more pass scaling stuff today and more run fit stuff today, so we're not banging into each other as much. We still did during the team period. And then tomorrow, like I said, it'll be all helmets. So you got to kind of manufacture them. And then there's a couple guys that, I'll give you per example, George Lee. He doesn't need a ton of reps. In the last 3 weeks, we've kind of spaced him out in practice, and he's played really well the last 3 weeks. So he's also a senior. Kobe Williams, he moved from playing corner to playing safety for almost the entire Washington State game. He didn't make one mistake. In 70 snaps, he did not make one mistake. For a guy that has not played safety one time in his career since I've been here, and we did it during the bye week and last week, and he was perfect assignment-wise, and he played really good in coverage. He's also been playing college football for 5 years. And so as they continue to get that experience, we'll have more guys that we're able to do that with. But right now, we kind of have to beat them into a wall to make sure that they do it right on Saturday.
You were talking after the WSU game about guys just having to hang in there with that kind of passing and onslaught coming at them. It seemed like Jack Jones was kind of the epitome of that.
He was. You know,
many balls coming his way.
across the board, all three different groups were having different, I guess you could say, frustrations of what was going on. Now, the scheme with what we did, it was the blitz scheme was really good, and they really struggled with it. And if you go back, I mean, Gordon got credit for throwing the ball 66 times. Well, if you include all the penalties, we defended 72 passes on Saturday. Okay, that's a lot of passes, and we weren't subbing those guys. Jack and Chase played every single snap. Kobe, he dinged up his forearm at one point, missed a couple plays. He played every other snap than that. And then Cam and Willie were kind of switching back and forth as we were going back and forth between our base personnel when they had two running back ends early on, and then our sixth group when they didn't have to need two running backs in. When they keep throwing the ball, we got flustered a little bit early in the zone coverages. So we decided we're just going to go ahead and take our hats and throw them all in the ring and play man coverage. Now, if you go back and when we grade this thing, they've given up 6 sacks on the year. We knocked him to the ground 15 times in those 70 throws. So the blitz scheme was really good. The blitz scheme worked. Where we struggled, and if you watch some of them in the fourth quarter, where it really took effect was in the fourth quarter. He was not standing in there at all to deliver the football, and that's why we were successful stopping him in the fourth quarter. Now the third quarter, he was making some throws that we had an opportunity to get out the field and make plays, and he was throwing in the ball in there, and 12 was making some really good catches. And then on our underneath slants routes, at times we were running past the slant route from the secondary. We had some guys dropping from the line of scrimmage at other times. And then the one, it was a 3rd and 8, and Kalen Thomas made one of the greater hits that I've seen near foot, near shoulder without getting eliminated. Well, I was anticipating that happening a lot earlier in the game. he read it just like we had talked about it, and instead of running by it, he hit it right as the guy caught it. Now, they got 7 yards because he was coming from the opposite side, and they did a good job with the back to that side. But that was the end of the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, we did the same thing and with our droppers, and they did a really good job and couldn't get to the ball. The other thing we are a defense of 5 plays right now, and that is what's frustrating because we're making progress, but all year long we've had 5 plays here or there that are the difference between playing really, really good defense and being who we are. And I mean, we're just average right now, in my opinion. And we did some good things even early on in the games. The first 2 games, we hold them to 7 points. Well, against Sac State, we blow a coverage so they get the touchdown. Against Kent State, we don't cover the wheel route 3 times. We luck out. They drop 2 of them. The third one, he doesn't throw it. We've seen numerous wheel routes in the last 4 games, but we covered every single one, so it's not an issue. Well, we make those mistakes in that game. In the Colorado game, we come out of coverage in a deep ball. We get beat at the line of scrimmage for ball, and then the throw-up ball in the fourth quarter. Those are 3 big plays in the game. Against Washington State, there's the same thing. It's 5 plays. The very first touchdown, we should intercept that ball. We have a deep middle safety who goes to the deep outside third instead of deep middle. And if he's even close playing it because the errant throw, it's an easy either incompletion or interception. And then our corner sits on an out route when he's supposed to be playing deep third. If he gets in the end zone, both those guys are going for the ball. Okay, they get a 29-yard gain on a little 5-yard out that Kobe misses the tackle. Tyler's running over there and kind of takes a bad angle. And Chase thought those 2 guys were going to tackle it and misses his second tackle on the season because he relaxes. And the guy goes up the sideline for 26 yards. And it was a good learning point to our guys because they're chasing the ball, but then all of a sudden when Chase misses him, all those guys accelerate. Well, if they're running full speed like we tell them to all the time and expect them to, that's going to be about an 11-yard gain instead of a 26-yard gain. The very first play of the 2-minute is a 29-yard play that we have Cam comes down and he jumps a shallow route and they throw it across the middle and Kalen almost makes a heck of a play, but we should have a guy right there in the middle. And then the one that doesn't bother me as much is the one that they caught on Jack, the 29-yard ball where it's questionable whether it was OPI or not. I mean, that's them hand finding that's ball. That's going to happen. So I'm okay with that one. But those 5 plays, that's 140 yards, and then one's a touchdown, and then the other touchdown we have an assignment on. That's 5 plays. If you handle those 5 plays, which we'll get to as those guys continue to mature and play more ball and are more focused all the time, you cover those 4 or 5 plays. Now you're looking at they had 330-some total yards of offense or throwing. They rushed the ball for 32, so they still got their 30 yards rushing, and they scored 20 points. But we're that close, yet we're that far.
So Danny, what's Utah's big play capability look like on TV?
Very. Both in the run. I mean, if you watch the Oregon State game, Moss is back in his first game back since SC, and he takes the first carry. They miss a couple tackles with line of scrimmage, and he goes 90 yards. So they can hit you with right down the middle with big plays. Both their wideouts on the outside. He's 45. He's the one that lately has been causing all kinds of people trouble. He's a smooth runner, and he doesn't look as fast as he is. And all of a sudden, he's running right by DBs. And they do a great job with their routes. And then they use their tight ends, both of them. I think number 80 is almost identical to 12 from Washington State, except he'll get his hand down in the dirt and the line of scrimmage and block. He's really athletic. He runs great routes. And they can present you some matchup problems because we're not playing with the tallest corners in the world right now. And so you got a 6'5" tight end on Jack and Chase. What I'll tell you to do is they can out-jump him if they can compete. Now, that he's a great athlete. So if they throw it up to him, I mean, it's a 50-50 ball. So they've got the opportunity to take you deep. And then if you try and handle all their stuff with Moss and those guys, Tyler Huntley's going to pull it one time, and then he's got enough vertical speed. And he's not really, I mean, he's got all this shaking stuff, but he don't want to shake. He wants to get down. He wants to gain as many yards as he can. And then just like Jaden did on the touchdown, if he needs 4 yards for a first down, he's selling out. And I think the most impressive thing that I've seen from Tyler Huntley this year is after he broke his collarbone last year, he ain't protecting himself. He playing ball. So, it's a big challenge that our guys need to start getting ready for mentally now so that they can play, because it's going to be a violent football game. I mean, And I said this last week, and there were some people that took it whatever. When you play football, the game of football hurts. It does. And I agree. I think you try and hurt people because that's what the game of football is. And I think there's a difference between being hurt and injured. When you're hurt, you should hurt because football is a mean, nasty game. And I tell our guys all the time, if you don't hurt, then you ain't very good. Now, if you're injured, you can't play because there's something physically wrong. Well, I never want to injure anybody. I mean, that's not competitive sports. Trying to injure somebody is that's different. That's ridiculous. But when you hit somebody, you should try and hurt them because it's a violent game. It hurts. So never mind. It's soft. You can't be soft.
Talk about, I mean, obviously, the secondary, but I mean, Chase's game, when he was coming off the field, he was maybe a little bit frustrated when you get the money. Had a lot of good tackles. I mean, again, you knew you were going to see the ball up in the air,
Yep.
I mean, so many times, but what was his...
I think this is, I'll take the blame for that. He was frustrated because they had 460 yards thrown. We had opportunities. I made a big mistake as a coach that I've done this for 20 years and should have never done. People ask me all the time, what's your record going to be? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. We're going to go in there, we game plan, and we show up to win every single game. And I said that 20 number because somebody asked me about how many we had at San Diego State, and I said we can get 20 this year. And I put so much dang pressure on them boys that now when we come out of games, they don't have interceptions, they feel like they're letting me down. And screw that. That thing has grown to something that now it's becoming an issue. Well, guess what? If you run around and you fly around and you make plays on the ball, you're going to get your share of interceptions. We haven't yet. And we need to make more plays on the ball. I mean, if you look at the ones on Saturday, the opportunities that we had to intercept the ball, they throw a deep ball in the middle. We're in great coverage. Cam Phillips, all of a sudden, he's running the ball. He's in good position. He starts backpedaling. Who the heck taught you to backpedal and try and jump full speed, man? You can't backpedal and jump full speed. So I talked to him on the sideline, and he gets all, I know, coach, I panicked a little bit. Well, that's the guy that just played 12 games, not even that, 8 games in his career, okay? He had that very similar setup in the end zone on the one that we get on their second score, their first score. We have a third down that we get pressure. George gets tripped to the line of scrimmage and dives, and they call the roughing the passer because he's down by the knees of the quarterback. Well, Cam Phillips comes across and he swats that ball down like a volleyball player. Well, if it was the last play of the game and it's Hail Mary, I'm cheering him on. But, man, go intercept it. You were in great position to jump up there and intercept it just like Ashari did against Cal in the end zone. Okay? Their field goal that we hold them to on the second drive of the game, Jack Jones makes an unbelievable break on an in route. Tyler Johnson hits the quarterback. Gordon throws the ball, and Jack Jones goes up with one hand and knocks it up in the air, and then Patman almost catches it. But if he goes up with both hands, that's going to be an interception, and he might score because there's nobody in front of him. So we're getting a lot of opportunities to make those plays, and we're just not finishing them. And so he was frustrated because they caught some balls on him, and I thought Chase played great. Other than the missed tackle over there on the sideline, I thought the biggest play in the game on our side of the ball was down in the fourth quarter, when they kick the field goal after we punt the ball and they take it over on the 36. They have the first play, they get some positive yards. They beat Cam Phillips over the middle. They get down there. They have a second down. They throw a jet screen to the boundary, and we're in man coverage except we have a dropper going to it. Well, they did a good job, and they cut off Merlin, and Chase comes flying up and makes a one-arm tackle on the receiver right there, or he's going to score a touchdown. The next play, we hold them on third down. They get the penalty. We take it again. We hold them again, and they kick a field goal, and then Jaden takes us down and does his thing, and we win. If Chase don't make that play, we're either looking at overtime or we're going to lose because now you have to score a touchdown. The pressure becomes a little bit different. We just had to get the ball in field goal range. Now, Jaden, dude's special. We had a conversation during the game, and that's what I love. He talks to everybody, but he was like, Coach, just give me the ball. I said, I promise you, we're going to get you the ball, Jaden. We may not be in the lead, but we're going to get you the ball with a chance to win. And you do your thing. And he's like, I got you, Coach. I got you, Coach. I mean, he tells that to everybody. And so far, 4 out of 6 times, he's delivered. And the other one, he didn't have to. So the only one that we stumbled was Colorado, and that was on us. So, I mean, that's what sorry to get back to your thing. That's what Chase was disappointed about because they caught some balls and they had some success. And like I said, we're 5 plays away from being any good. And that's frustrating. Now, the progression of this thing, we've made a ton of progress from the time we got here to now. Is it the progress that I like against certain opponents? No. And it don't matter. We strive for perfection. And like I said, when with the first 3 games, don't justify success with mediocrity. I could go through all this stuff and find all the wonderful things we've done. But guess what? In my opinion, we ain't very good. And they know it. And so they're going to keep working every single day until we get good. And the attitude is right. And they keep fighting every day, and they keep fighting. And right now, we're fighting just enough to have a chance to hold them to 1 less point. I mean, they had a bunch of success on offense on Saturday. I mean, here, I'll break it down for you. 28 times of the 72 plays, they have 0 yards. Whether it was we stopped them on the run, whether it was we caused an incomplete pass, we knocked the ball down, or he threw it bad. Okay? We go through the next 21 of 28, so now 21, so that's 38, 48 plays. You go to those ones, they were from a difference of 0 to 9 yards, with 0 yards after the catch. Okay? That means they're throwing those slant routes, they're throwing those little balls underneath, and we're catching them and they're tackling right now. 2 of those that went for 9 should have been 3. We hit them near foot, near shoulder instead of wrapping up because we're trying to be gigantic heroes. And number 12, that dude's pretty good. He's pretty big. And he bounced off and they got a couple extra yards. Now we had guys running to him. Okay? 21 of them were 10 or more yards. Okay? Well, out of 70, you can say, oh, that's pretty good. Well, guess what? That ain't good enough. You can't give up 10 pass plays. You got to either get enough pressure, you got to get the ball out, or you got to make a tackle so it's less than 10 yards so that you can get off the field more often than we did. Thought we were okay on 3rd down, okay, but we were more improved on 3rd down. We only got them into 13 of them out of 70 throws. So there's room for improvement. Don't think that you're good. Don't justify being good. I mean, understand where your deficiencies are and fix them. And that's what we need to continue to understand. And we're beating into their head. And the best thing that you have and the opportunity that you have to be successful is Chase Lucas looking at that scoreboard and almost in tears. Because, yeah, we won, but guess what? We won and we didn't play like we should have. We made enough plays to win.
Last question. What do you think on Merlin's play? It doesn't seem like he's come up with a big play this year. Impact play, maybe?
He's had few impact plays. You have to take last Saturday's game out of the equation. Because if you think Merlin didn't show up, Merlin probably had the most important job and probably played the biggest role in us winning without being visible. Merlin's job was basically to take 21 out of the game, and he did. If he went out, he had him pretty much man-to-man 90% of the time all day. And 21 was getting really frustrated because we did a good job. I mean, he did a pretty good job of protection every time we sent Evan Fields. And I don't know if you've ever seen Evan Fields, but when Evan Fields looked like a Greek god when he takes off his shirt. I mean, he's ripped, and that dude has one speed, and he knows one thing. If there's a brick wall and you tell him to run into it, he's going to friggin' lower his head, he's going to run right into it, and he's going to bounce off, and he's going to pop up, and he's going to say, you want me to do it again? And he did that to Borgie all night long. And there's a couple times that he's coming across, and he was like, oh, God, he's blitzing again. Here he comes. And he kept pounding him. Now, he came over the sideline a couple times, and I'm like, hey, man, freaking Superman over him. Dive and go hit the quarterback in the face. Quit knocking him out every time. Quit taking on the cut blocks. And he took on the cut block a couple times with his knee, which I'm good with. Hit him right in the freaking body, and guess what? He's going to stop. And pretty soon they did. When they bullet motioned him out, every time he went out, if you watch the tape, Merlin is sprinting full speed, chasing him over there. He's chasing him with one thing in mind. Because behind the line of scrimmage, it don't matter what happened. You can knock the living tar out of him. So his job was, every time that guy leaves the pocket, go knock him into next week. And Merlin was dragging by the end of the game because every time Max Borgie ran out there, here comes Merlin, full speed, trying to line him up, and bam, knock him down, over and over. So when they had the ball off, all of a sudden, the first time they had it off, they get 0 yards. That was the very first play of the game. It hadn't taken effect yet. The second time they run the fly sweep, we tackle them for a 1 yard loss. The only time they got us on a running play, and I felt bad for Merlin, because they jumped the running back, and Merlin had all of a sudden, oh, here comes the dragon fire coming out. That dude's running, I'm going to go get him. He goes flying over there. Well, guess what? Max Borgie stopped. They handed it off, and right where Merlin's supposed to be, they get a 20-yard gain. That was the only time that they got us schematically in their running game. So Merlin did a fantastic job on Saturday. We moved Merlin around a ton of spots, which has made us better on defense, especially early on. And we didn't rely on him to be the big play guy. He was more effective on Saturday. He rushed a couple times when the back stayed in there to block, so he became the second rusher, and he got a couple pressures on the quarterback. going this week and going forward, you will probably see Merlin make more of those fantastic plays because we're going to use him in some of those places where we've been using Tyler and those guys to continue to get a good pass rush. So that, I mean, when Anthony Gordon couldn't throw the ball, when he was felt after a while, when he felt bodies in this thing, I'm telling you why. In the fourth quarter, we had enough bodies around him, enough tired. The throws weren't the same. And that was why we were able to win the game, because we got enough. We got a couple stops in the fourth quarter. We hold him to the field goal, and then Jaden does his thing. But it's funny though, he can't win the Mandrake. I don't know why. He does all these wonderful things. All conference player of the week, national player of the week. I guess I don't know. I mean, it's pretty hard word to get. I guess. I mean, shoot. You can't argue with 196 yards on whatever catches Brandon had, and some of the things that he did in the game. I mean, those guys. There's different guys, and it's kind of who our football team is. You asked about Merlin. We have different guys showing up every week. It's kind of musical chairs on who's playing the best. I mean, 2 weeks ago it was Eno. Last week it was Brandon and Jaden. On defense, I mean, between Merlin and here's another thing with the young group. We put in this 6 package, okay? When you take an opportunity to do something like that, you have to, and it took more time for the coaches than it did for the kids. And the reason that they were able to execute it was everything that was structured within that deal was the exact same for 10 guys within our base stuff. It looked significantly different than anything. I mean, when you got a 5 and a 5 and nothing over the box, come on, let's run it. They should have just run dive. They tried, they couldn't. But we took a guy off the field. All of our linebacker blitzes we called were the same as if they had a nose guard there. We just had to make sure that they were taking responsibility of where that guy was supposed to be. So what we did is we took one guy, Cam Phillips, and give Cam Phillips a lot of credit because I told you last year he got hurt, whatever, he couldn't play. He dislocates his elbow. After the first series, he came off and he goes, "Coach, I can't play with this thing." There's a big brace on his elbow. He goes, "I can't play." I'm like, "Cam, dude, we have put all our stock into you. If you get hurt, man, no, we can't, you can't." He goes, "Coach, I can't play with this thing." He goes, "I promise you, I will play with one arm if I have to. If you please let me take it off." I said, "All right, go ahead." I said, "I'm going to hold you to it. You're playing with one arm. So I'll have him cut it off if you have to. You play it." And so that guy had to learn a bunch of different assignments to make everybody else around him right. Now, if you got a veteran group and you've done a whole bunch of things, you can put in packages where you have different guys learning different things and you just tell them assignments and they're good. We are not there. Our guys are kind of, they know their spots. There's times they don't. Look at the first touchdown. We should have a guy stand in the deep middle. He's not. So we had to design it to where everybody's doing the same thing, and I picked up who are smarts guys in the secondary that could handle a whole bunch of new stuff, and that was Cam Phillips. And Cam Phillips played like a rock star. He was really good in coverage. He was really good in all of his zone fits, on his run fits. I mean, he's flying around everywhere until we get to 2 minutes. And he's in the game, and he thinks we're playing in 6, which we worked on the sideline, and it was just his brain flipped. So the first 2 plays, he's playing a position that he'd been playing all game, and he should be playing the safety over here. Now, sort of a veteran deal, Evan Fields, he saw Cam was screwed up, so he went and played safety, a position that he hadn't played, but he knew what to do. So we're getting better at some of those things. And then the second play, and I saw this too, Evan gets upset with Cam, and he tells him, he gets him straightened out that we're in base. And then we get him in a 3rd and 10, and then we get him to Hail Mary. We pressure him, we call timeout so that we get everything set up. Lole does a great job. We get to Gordon, and they can't throw it. So you're seeing those guys grow up and mature and do the things that are going to be really, really good down the road. But we're still, what have we played? We played 13 last year and 6 this year. We're 19 games into it. I still don't think we're very good, but we're going to be damn good. We're going to be really good around here. And if those guys keep working the direction they're working and flying around, we can surround Jaden with the pieces. We're going to be a really, really good football team. And all this stuff we've done, we're 5-1. Well, guess what? We got 6 more opportunities. If they don't get themselves ready every week, you could end up 5-7. If you get yourself ready every single week, like they've done so far, we're going to have a chance to win every single one. If we win every single one, it's going to be a heck of a season around here. And we'll make improvements, and we've got a chance to be damn good around here, but we're not. Not yet. So